All right, well, welcome to our very first episode of Truth Over the Noise. My name is Nathan Woltmann. I am the network director at TIL Radio Network, and I'm also joined here today with my co-host, Trey Cochran. Trey, say hi. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Like Nathan said, my name's Trey Cochran. I am so thrilled to be able to be here with Nathan. Nathan and I have known each other for a couple of years. We're in the same small group, go to the same church, and we hit it off pretty much off the bat. So I'm excited to be here. This is a long time coming. This has been being planned for a long time. So it's good to finally be in here and get everything going.
Yes, exactly. It's been well over a year's worth of work to get this thing going. So yes, we're very excited about being here today and starting this podcast. Now, if you're, again, this is obviously the first episode, so I'd hope you haven't listened to anything else yet.
If you have, I don't know how you got it.
Yeah, I don't know how you got it either, unless this is in the future and it's already been out and you're just coming back around to it. That's just fine. But this episode is really just the introduction. This is really telling about us, about where we're going with this podcast and how the Lord's kind of directing us to do this sort of thing. I've been praying about this for quite a while now, to just like, hey, Lord, I need you to guide and direct this and where we're going to be going. So, and I know Trey's been praying about this too. So we're just, we're excited about what the Lord's going to have for us. We're excited about what all of our listeners, all of you out there listening to us, that you're going to be able to learn and hopefully be able to help you in your life where you're at. Now, with that being said, I want to go ahead and mention this out of the way. This way, it makes a little bit more sense as to how the rest of this episode will go. We're going to be telling our testimonies, okay? In fact, those episodes should be out about the same time as this episode. So if you're listening to us on the first week, you should be able to catch all three of these episodes. There's one episode for Trey's testimony and one for mine. And that's just really going to give you a background on where we've come from, where our lives have been, good, the bad, the ugly, as the old movie is, just everything there, laying it out on the line for you. So that way you understand that we're just not coming in here and getting on our high horse, speaking a whole bunch of highfalutin words or whatever, although granted, we probably couldn't do that. We're two Southern boys that are just, good old backcountry boys here. So, You
got that right.
Yeah, exactly. So highfalutin words ain't for us, as you can tell as I use the word ain't. So, but at the same time though, we have been through some things in our lives. We're both now in our 30s and we've seen some things, we've done some things. And the Lord has showed us through those things. So this podcast is really geared for those of you that are in your teens, your older teens mainly, and even into your young adults. So you're Gen Z. If you're in Gen Z, that's who we want to talk to. We want to talk to you, and we want to help you where we can. That's kind of where we're at on that. So with that in mind, again, Trey, we're going to be talking more about our actual lives and our testimonies, but go ahead and tell us a little bit about, for our listeners' sake, about where our heart is, where we're going with some of these episodes, maybe some of the podcast episodes that we've got coming up here in the near future. So just kind of talk about that for just a minute.
Yes, sir. Gladly. Our heart for this is, just like you said, Gen Z. We've been where y'all are. We had the same questions that y'all have. And we were told, God's going to get you through it. You're going to be okay. God's got you. As comforting as that was, we didn't want to hear that. We wanted someone that was going to be honest with us and tell us the truth about what we were struggling with. And that is our heart. We want to be that for y'all. We want to give y'all the answers to the problems that y'all are facing from a biblical standpoint. That is what we want to do here. In future episodes, we're going to cover worrying about the future. We're going to cover anxiety. We're going to cover depression. We are going to cover problems that y'all are facing today. And we're not experts. We're just two good old boys that have had the same problems that y'all are having right now. And we want to be the voice for y'all that we wished that we had when we were younger.
Absolutely, Trey. Absolutely. That is exactly where our heart is. We want our listeners to know that these podcasts are designed to be there for you in your time of need, wherever you're at. And so that's where these episodes, these topics that we're going to be covering, I should say, that's where these are coming from. But one of the other things I also want to let Trey know too. He didn't mention it there too. But we're also going to be doing some episodes about history. And the reason why we want to do some episodes about history is because and yes, I know Trey's very excited. I could see it in his face.
I was a math guy.
Yeah. So, are you the yes? So we're gonna go back and talk about some, especially like some church history. We're going to talk about some, and we're going to be bringing some other people to do this as well, by the way. This just won't be just us. We're going to bring in some people that are going to discuss about church history. We're going to talk about even for that matter, even world history in general, because honestly, there's a reason why in America right now today, why we are the way we are, especially as Christians. There are groups out there that I would sit there and be able to definitively say, without question, that you're the type of people that God talked about when He told Elijah, and when Elijah was just like depressed and like, "There's no one else worshiping you. I'm the only one." And God's like, "Nah, nice try. No, there's 7,000 other people who have not bowed the knee to Baal and are worshiping, and I'm protecting them as well." So, so there is a remnant of people who are truly worshiping God and truly standing up for what He has around the world and not just in America. So there's hope there in that. But for those that are wanting to get beyond where maybe even you're at right now, where you're sitting there saying that, man, there's no point in this. Why even fight this battle? Well, there is a big reason why to fight this battle, and it's because it's the right thing to do, number one, period. It's what God's called us to do. But number two, even on a personal level, it's going to benefit you. You're going to reap benefits, and really mainly in heaven, you're going to reap benefits for doing by following what God has called you to do and what God is leading you to do. So as part of these topics and a part of these things that we're going to be discussing over, I don't know how long, over obviously the next several weeks, months, years, as we discuss these different things, we want you, our listeners, particularly those of you that are in Gen Z, we just want you to understand that if you're struggling through any of these areas, we're going to have a series on different topics. And another thing that I thought about, and we're going to be putting out an email here in just a second, and it's going to sound kind of weird because I'm going to have to say this a little bit later because I forgot to write it down what the email address was, because I'm still putting this all together as we're talking about this. Speaking of, we're also still trying to put together the website for Truth Over the Noise. We're putting this all together as we speak. When we recorded this, okay, so by the time this comes out, this will all be there. You'll be able to find, in fact, if you go to tilradio.org, I know for a fact that there you'll be able to find the information at bare minimum, including the email address for Truth Over the Noise. And one of the things that I want to ask our listeners to do is if there's a specific topic that you're like, I'm struggling with this, and you don't have to tell us any details. You don't have to tell us, what you're going through. If you want to do that, if you want to reach out and maybe even send out a prayer request that we can pray on a personal level, that's fine.
Absolutely.
We won't mention that on any of the podcasts.
Nope.
But if there's a topic that you as a listener want to have us talk about, let us know. So go to tilradio.org and look up the Truth Over the Noise webpage that is on there. That is where you're going to find at least at bare minimum, the email address, as well as, Lord willing, the website for Truth Over the Noise is where we'll have the link there as well. So make sure you do that as well. But back to again, about history and about everything. The main reason why I want to do this, Trey, and for our listeners, is because it's an old saying, but it's a very true saying. If you don't learn from your past, you're doomed to repeat it. And the only way to learn from your past is you got to know history. You got to know the past. You got to know what it is. And so That is why we're going to cover some topics on history, particularly church history, and even general world knowledge history that kind of coincides with church history, because there's a lot of times church history not only affected the world, but the world affected church history and how we evolved from all of that from the very beginning, even all the way back to the first century. So again, we'll talk more about those in other future episodes. Very excited about that, Trey. Okay, so also one of the other things that we're going to be want to mention to our listeners is when you're listening to this. Obviously, as you're listening to this, we've already had our premiere date. But tell us, Trey, when we're starting all this, and then ultimately, where we're going over the next several weeks and months for this year. What we're going to be doing.
Okay. We are going to be dropping our premiere episode on July 11th. You will be able to listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts and a streaming station near you. And we are, in the first season, we're just doing audio. Mm-hmm. The second season, which is going to be in next year, 2027. Next season, we are going to be bringing in, hopefully, some video. We're going to be bringing in some video. We're going to be bringing in some guests that we are going to be interviewing that have struggled with the same questions that y'all have and can give y'all information a lot better than we could. And we're just excited to bring y'all on this journey with us. We are so excited. We hope y'all enjoy it. We hope that we don't scare y'all off at some point. I hope that we don't annoy y'all. My wife says I can be pretty annoying sometimes. I hope y'all don't find me annoying.
No, Trey. No, you're not annoying. What are you talking about?
Thank you, Nathan. For that delayed response.
That was maybe a little on purpose. As you can tell, we're good friends. So
yes,
we like to
we
pick
joke
on each
around
other.
And we pick at each other. It's yes. Fine.
Yes, it's fine. Yes. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, we're excited. We're going to be doing some audio. We're going to be doing some video, hopefully in the next season, next year, and doing that, and bringing in some extra guests at that point in the second season, to be able to talk about certain topics. And then also this year, you may notice, and part of that is why we're kind of mentioning this here about the premiere date, is we are doing some videos. In fact, we're recording video right now, but this is going to be mainly for Instagram and YouTube accounts. So if and also possibly maybe X as well, I might drop in a few things there to maybe catch some of y'all that are maybe out there in those worlds. But wherever you may be, we're trying to let you know that this is a brand new podcast that Trey and I just started up. In fact, this is under the branch, and this might be a good time to segue into this actually, to talk a little bit about TIL. You may notice over which shoulder it is. This shoulder. My finger doesn't work that way. Yeah, the other side. Yeah, that way. TIL broadcast. This is Truth and Love Radio Network. It's under the branch of that, and this is actually something that I've been working on as a radio broadcast for the last 5 years, and so for those of you, by the way, we were pointing on the video. So for those of you that are listening in audio,
you have no idea.
I know that might sound a little weird. Like we're pointing in the air, but you can't see because you're only listening. But Truth and Love Radio Network, which is, by the way, like I mentioned earlier, tilradio.org. You can listen to us there. We also have our app as well. That the broadcast is for everyone, but it is also still mainly for those of you that are in Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I know that in life right now, especially over the last 15 years, almost 20 years now, with the emergence of cell phones, smartphones, I should say, with smartphones, the time that we have anymore in general of just, catching people's attention is a short span. I mean, even if, by the way, if you end up actually listening to this entire podcast, which we encourage you to do so. We hope you do so. That's the whole reason why we're even doing the podcast, because we believe that there are those of you that will. But the funny part about it, the irony I like to at least say, is that most of the podcasts out there that are longer than 30 minutes, which typically a lot of ours is going to be that way. In fact, I know our testimony episodes that are going to be coming out around the same time as special episodes that we're going to be releasing, they're over 30 minutes. In fact, I think they're almost an hour long.
Yeah.
Which again, we're glad that you've listened to the whole thing, and we hope you do. But if you do, you are part of a very short minority of people who actually will sit there and listen to the whole thing. So if you're one of those people, if you're like, look, I've got so much going on, I don't have time to sit here and listen to a full-length podcast. Maybe over time I can, but not like in one go. Well, then this is what TIL Radio is for you. So I'm kind of putting a little plug in there, but I guess I can because I'm the network director, so I probably
he's
should.
got pull, so he's got pull.
And this is also under the branch of TIL Radio Network, so in a way, I can promote my own stuff. But it's designed for you to be on the go. Most of the time you've got music playing. There are some programs, most of which, by the way, are only 1 to 2 minutes long. So when these programs come on, they're designed to be able to hit you with a truth of God's word very quickly in whatever manner it may be. For instance, we have things for kids. There's a program called Keys for Kids. We have a program called Unlocked for teenagers. We have a program for parents called Parent Minute that are all under the same housing there for them. We have other programs like for Money Matters. So if you're struggling with finances, great little 2-minute little episode that you can listen to that will help you every single day dealing with finances. All kinds of different programs. And then we have some longer ones, 15 minutes, 30 minutes long. In fact, on Saturday, I think we have an hour-long program on Saturday called Christian Worldview, very similar to that of a podcast, but it is. Look, I don't mean to pull away any of our listeners here, Trey. Okay, when I say this.
Oh no.
But this is true. Okay, this is very true. But Christian Worldview with David Wheaton, I will have to say, is probably the best podcast style, interview style, radio style program out there right now that deals with Christianity and the Christian worldview. So
listen to that after you listen to us.
Oh, well, yes, absolutely. but if you want more in depth, so if you come to us and you're listening to it and like you're just like, wow, this is great, I want to learn more, I'm going to encourage you to do. That's what these programs are all designed. We're not just a one-stop shop for everything, but we are here for you wherever you're at, and we're going to be able to provide that here on this podcast too. So I just want to make sure that's clear. But it is for all the programming that we play is for you. So I am putting this little plug in here on this introduction episode, Trey. It was a little different than what we had discussed about before, but the reason why is because all of this is designed to help you, our listeners. It's not just about one thing or another that's better than the other, because I think honestly that's the biggest issue with the podcast world right now and with everything is everybody's trying to vie for being the best. And we're going to do our best, and we're going to give our best, and God's going to get the glory for this. That's, I think, if nothing else, if I get only 2 listeners for my entire lifetime, and it makes the world of a difference, I would rather have that than hundreds of thousands of people that listen to us because we're funny, we're 2 Southern boys, we make jokes, we have fun, whatever, and they learn nothing.
Yeah.
And they end up going to hell because they didn't learn anything about Christ. They didn't learn how to live as Christians. So if you're looking for a podcast that's going to make you feel good, well, we could do that, on occasions.
We're going to have some episodes that help make you
some
do
episodes
that.
are going to be like that. But most of the episodes, I'm going to be honest with you, we're going to shoot straight with you. Just like Trey said earlier, we're going to shoot straight with you. We're going to tell you the truth. And that's part of the reason why I mentioned the other programs and other things, because it's about the truth of God's word. I think that's the bottom line to any of this. It's the truth of God's word. And if you have a problem with that, well, you can take it up with God. I'm not gonna fight you over that. That's your problem. But your battle to fight. Right, that's your battle to fight. That's exactly right. But I think the thing again is, we want to be a blessing to you, and we want to help you. So if you're ready to go on a journey with us, if you're ready to take life by the reins and say, you know what, Lord, whatever you got for me, let's go. I'm struggling in these areas, so let's talk about those areas. So again, if you have a particular topic that you're like, hey, I want to know more about this. I'm struggling with this right now, whatever it is, shoot us an email. Let us know, and we'll do our best to put it together in a future episode. Hopefully soon as we get the email, sooner rather than later. But we will get to that topic at some point and make sure that that your prayers are being answered, because again, that's what we want to be here for. So Trey, so tell our listeners, there was a thing that we were talking about before we got started with all this, before we recorded all this, that we kind of wanted to feel like we wanted to be like, what was it that you said? Want to be like
older brothers. We're going to be here. We're going to give you we're going to do what brothers do. We're going to give you honest. We're going to shoot straight with you. Mm-hmm. We're going to be completely honest, but it's 100% out of love.
That's right.
Like, we're not doing it to like pick on y'all. We're not giving y'all the doom and gloom answers just because we want to. We're being honest with you because we care about you and we love you and we want y'all to get the truth that you're looking for. And we want to be the brothers that you are, like, that you need, the honest answers that you're looking for, that we wish we would have gotten when we were younger. That's what we want to give y'all. And we're going to do it just because we love you, just like a brother would.
That's right.
Now, we're not going to pick on y'all like older brothers would.
No, that's for us to do. We'll do that to each other.
Yeah, we do that to each other. We're not going to do that to y'all.
Yeah, we already get that enough with each other. We don't want to do that to nobody else, so yeah. I was trying to find the verse in Proverbs that talks, and I'm drawing a blank, and I really wish I could find it. I didn't think about it until just now, Trey, because we just talked about, but you mentioned about how we've talked about we're going to shoot straight with you, we're going to tell you the truth. We're not going to hold back anything there. But there's a verse in Proverbs that talks about, and I'm going to butcher it, but I remember it's there because that was one of the verses I had to memorize as a kid. Was that the what was it, the something to do with the truth of a friend is better than the lies or the kisses of an enemy. And I feel like that's it's better for us to sit here, even in this podcast and in the future podcast, when we talk about these different topics. I want to make it clear that if it comes across, if we're stepping on some toes, we're probably stepping on ours first.
Exactly.
Number one. But number two, it is about, there's a line that we have to draw. Mm-hmm. And actually this is wow. Again, I think about these things as we talk about it, So I'm ADHD. So if you can't figure that out by now, I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly what's happening right now. But I'm just thinking about one of the things that I want to talk about with church history is, how did we get to a point where our churches became so religious? And what I mean by that is it became so like rigorous in rules, laws, way things that we do things, and it's not. And I want to get too much into it. And this is an introduction. We're not getting into the subject right now, but I just I look at this and I'm like, here we are. How did we get to a point where it's your truth, my truth, everybody else's truth? What happened to God's truth?
Yeah.
And that, if you as a generation, particularly those of you Gen Z, I'm gonna go ahead and just be a flat line answer, and I don't care who hates me for this, okay? But I'm being brutally honest when I say this, and I say honest in the sense that I completely believe that this to be true. Okay. Now, I can't prove it, so this is more of a personal opinion, but I'm just staunch on this. You have right now in this world, we have I think like 5 generations technically. I mean, there's a few that are still living from an older generation, like the greatest generation, but most of them have passed away. So primarily we're dealing with 5 generations. I'm going to start with the newest and go backwards. We have Gen Alpha, who is currently our like young kids. We have Gen Z, which is our older teenagers and our young adults. We have our millennials that are in their 30s and their 40s. We have Gen Xers that are in their 50s and mid 60s, okay? And then those that are over the age of 60s, I think 65, 67 years old, is now in the realm of, or in the 60s really, mid 60s, is your baby boomers. And that's pretty much your 5 generations, right? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, you can go ahead and write off baby boomers. They've lived their life, and I say this all with due respect. Please understand this, Trey. I know you're laughing. I can see you laughing, okay? And probably some of you are sitting there like, what are you doing? What are you saying? I'm being dead serious when I say this. Here, baby boomers have done their things, okay? And there's a lot of good people. I mean, don't get me wrong. I respect older generation. I think we all should respect our elders. In fact, there's biblical principles behind that, so let's not forget that. But where was the revival, Trey? Where was the Great Awakening in their lifetime? I mean, you could account maybe Billy Graham and some others.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Where was the real Great Awakening where the whole country turned from their wicked ways and they went back to God? We haven't seen that since the 1860s, 1870s. Another reason why we're going to cover church history, because you all need to know this. So, baby boomers, nah, that's not. It's like the old saying: when you get older, you're set in your ways. They are set in their ways. Wherever they are at currently, whether good, bad, or ugly, they're there.
And that's what
Gen Xers. Gen Xers. They're getting there. However, I will give the Gen Xers and maybe some of the millennials. I'm going to get to them next. I will give them some credit. They saw what was coming, and they're like, "Uh-oh, we got to change." So there are a few of them from those 2 generations, Gen X and millennials. They were like, "I'm going to stand up and make a difference and change the way things happened before." So they did that. But there are so few and far in between of them in those groups that, as a whole, those 2 generations, forget it. You're not going to see revival with them. But Gen Z, you guys are young enough.
Right.
This is why I want to make an emphasis on this. You're young enough still, and you still have a whole life ahead of you. For the average age right now, you can live on the average age. Men, I think, can live to be, 77 now, I think it is, or 78 years old. And women are now up to like 80, 81 years old on average, okay? If you're, let's say, right in the middle of Gen Z right now, you're 20 years old. You're only maybe at best a quarter of the way through your life.
Right.
Maybe. You still have 75% of your life that is still ahead of you that God can use and God can make a difference. So that's another big emphasis with this podcast that I hope that all of you as our listeners are going to grasp is this is more than us just coming on here and talking about different things as well. I want to see revival. I want to see a change. So part of this journey is, for those of you listening, is we want to see revival. And revival only happens when you repent.
Right.
But the only way you can repent is you got to know what you're repenting of. So we're going to talk about some topics. We're going to talk about some things that might get a little bit, deep into some things, okay? And I'm just going to be honest about that. We'll talk more about that later. But for now, just know that's coming because it needs to be. It has to be. We can't just sit idle and let Satan get away with things and allow things to happen in our country and our churches because we're afraid to talk about it because talking about it may come across as being sinful. No, talking about it is not sinful. What's sinful is acting upon it. And so we're going to talk about some stuff. And then lastly, if you guys as Gen Z will start to make a difference, Gen Alpha could very well right in behind you also make a difference. And the 2 of y'all's generations, just like it was in the 1860s with the 2 youngest generations, the ones, by the way, the Civil War is what really sparked it, okay? We lost more men and women in that war than any other war itself. And the Civil War alone was 40% of our armed forces were lost on both sides, by the way, if you include the Confederacy as well. Both sides. I think it was like 600,000 people died in 4 years. It was incredible, the amount of people that died. But it was through this warfare that people realized, oh, we need God. We need to so they repented. They turned from their wicked ways. Same thing happened in the American Revolutionary War. Why do you Again, history. Why do you think the American Revolutionary War took place? Because they turned from their wicked ways and they weren't going to follow the king and follow the evilness that was going on in England at the time. So all of these revivals, all these different things, I want to see that again. So this podcast may be small, maybe in some ways, maybe to some people insignificant, but to me, it's not. Because to me, if we can, Trey, if we can make a difference in one person's life, that can make a difference in two people's lives, that can make a difference in four people's lives, that can then make a difference, the whole, it's worth every bit of time and effort and breath that I'm sitting here talking to right now. So I know I went a little off on the rabbit trail there at the end, but I felt like that was, in my mind, that was a great crescendo to everything else that we've already been talking about. Like, I finally think that's the whole point to what this is all about is, again, it's about getting back on our knees in front of God and saying, hey, I'm here, Lord. What do you want me to do? Send me. Lord, what's in my life that I need to get rid of? Okay, it's gone. It's yours. Now, where do you want me to go? Send me. So that is where I believe this podcast can and will do for you as a listener. And I know I spoke a lot here today. I try to let Trey talk. I do. I really do. I sit here with my hands under my legs, and I'm like, pinching my lip, like, let Trey talk. So Trey, I'm gonna have you, and I'm serious. I'm actually going to mute my mic so that way I cannot talk anymore for the rest of this podcast. I want you to close us out and just kind of make the final remarks and close out this introduction to this new podcast called Truth Over the Noise.
All right. Well, it's been a great episode. We're so thankful to have all of you tune in to the premiere episode of Truth Over the Noise. I hope we didn't scare y'all off. I hope that y'all come back and continue to listen. We have 2 special episodes that were dropped on the same day that this one was. That is my testimony and Nathan's testimony. And just to forewarn you, those are both a little bit longer than this one has been. But I promise you it's going to be worth it. And we're so excited to be on this journey with all of you. And tell your friends, get them listening to us as well. We have been praying over this podcast relentlessly. And we are praying for each other. We are praying for each and every one of you. Even though we don't know y'all by name, we are praying for each and every one of you. And like Nathan said, if y'all want to reach out through the email, through the website, we're going to be, if y'all have a specific thing that y'all want us to pray about, let us know. It will remain 100% confidential. What is said stays between us. We are not going to broadcast it. We're not going to tell our listeners. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to take what you've told us and we're going to pray over it relentlessly. And we're here for y'all. We're here for y'all. We are here to be y'all's big brothers, and we are here to love y'all and love y'all with truth. We have really enjoyed being here today. We hope y'all enjoy the 2 bonus episodes, special episodes that were dropped today. And thank you so much for tuning in to the premiere episode of Truth Over the Noise. I'm Trey Cochran. He's Nathan Woltmann. Have a great day, y'all.
For more information about Truth Over the Noise podcast, go to truthoverthenoise.com or tilradio.org. You can find more information there. And this has been a production of Truth Over the Noise podcast and TIL Radio Network.